All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley, Reggie Bush, and TJ Houshmandzadeh are back. Let's return to Odell Beckham Jr., who did a lengthy interview with GQ this week, which gave him the chance to complain about pretty much everything, including how the Giants handled his trade to Cleveland, a decision he still appears to be angry about, saying, quote, I felt disrespected because I felt like I was the main reason at keeping that brand alive. They were getting primetime games. Still, as a 5-11 team. Why? Because people want to see the show. You want to see me play. That's just real rap. I felt disrespected. They weren't even man enough to even sit me down to my face and tell me what's going on. All right, the question here is, do you think being disrespected by the Giants will fuel OBJ to a great season this year?
Sounds emotional over a transaction, and we've all been there. At least I know I have. The old school used to always say, if you make it, they're going to take it. So it was just that simple. As soon as you start becoming the man, somehow, some way, they'll figure this out. And if you've ever studied the game, when I saw Joe Montana in a Chiefs uniform and Bruce Smith gone, and I'm like, Jerry Rice is playing for which team now? That's part of the territory, part of that success. I suggest a greater motivation for Odell, because I don't think the disrespected card is the best card in his hand. The best one is to prove that he didn't need the juice from the Big Apple to be Odell, to be the baller he is, to be the man he is, to not just be a Broadway star with blonde hair, but to go anywhere and get this going and get this rolling. He talks about having a 5-11 team in their prime time. You're in Cleveland now. You landed in this prime time. Let's see how that goes. And I think that will land greater for his image and his legacy than talking about something that's tired, like, oh, man, they treated me wrong and they didn't talk to me on the way down. That's just how the game goes.
Exactly. And I know guys who've gotten cut for way less and way worse. I've seen a guy get cut on the bus on the way to the game. So wait until the first time he gets cut. That's going to be a real shocker if he's mad about this. But you have to understand that this is a business. It's a business first, right? The part that he said about the brand and keeping the brand alive, that part I have the issue with, because at the end of the day, it is a team sport. I know you were maybe the draw of that team, but also at the same time, there are other guys there as well. And so you can't be so focused on, well, it was because of me. Because at the end of the day, if it was because of you, y'all didn't even get to the playoffs, right? And so I hope he takes all the disrespect, the negative comments, whatever hate that he feels, and ball it up and use it as fuel to come out and play bigger and better this year, because I do believe he has an opportunity to do something similar to what we did in New Orleans, and that's to change the way that people think about the Cleveland Browns.
When you, number one, it's never personal. It's just business. And that's how he has to look at it. Number one, the Giants, you can't sit any player of his stature down and say, we might possibly trade you. Because now if you don't, you're going to have that animosity towards the people. Oh, you was thinking about. So that's why we're not going to give you a heads up. We're just going to do it, or we're not going to do it. That's why Gettleman, oh, he's not going anywhere. But behind the scenes, I need to get rid of this guy, because if it doesn't happen, I don't want a guy that's disgruntled on the team. He has to perform for himself. When you're using motivations of others to fuel you, that's going to die down. We talked about you have to do it because you want to be great. You desire to be great, and that's what he's doing. I mean, no, he out here working hard. He's out here in L.A. working hard. Now, whether that translates to a great year for himself and for Cleveland is a different story. But Cleveland, they were going to be in primetime games without him this year because of the way they finished the season. Now it's just more emphasis on it. Now it's just more icing on the cake for it. It's going to be interesting. I believe they're going to have a great season. But if things don't go well, he's probably going to get the blame because of all of this.
I think that going back to what we talked about earlier about Odell's reality is shaped by social media. And that's why he thinks they were getting primetime games because of Odell Beckham Jr. Because social media doesn't tell you, like, oh, no, the Giants are one of the oldest, most historic franchises in the history of football, in the history of sports. That brand, you know, far exceeds the Odell Beckham brand. But if he goes to his Twitter feed, it won't feel that way. He's the reason. No, it's the Giants. It's the New York market. That's why they were getting the primetime games. And so here's another reality that he may be avoiding. Jarvis Landry on the other side. Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Nick Chubb in the backfield. They got one of the best young tight ends in football. His numbers may back up, and it'll be interesting to see, because I think if they have a properly functioning winning team, they can win 10, 11 games, his numbers are going to back up.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll be happy.
So if we think they're going to have a winning season, what you think happens in the last 5-6 minutes of that game? What they doing? They running the ball.
Yeah.
So your numbers are for sure going to drop if you're winning.
Right.
And so less pass attempt.
5 and 11 allows you to run that 9 route at the end of the fourth quarter.
Hey, you get about 3 or 4 catches per game, 40 to 50 yards per game in garbage time.
Right.
Because you're playing catch up and the defense is giving it to you. But if you're winning games, now the Kareem Hunts, the Chubbs, they get those carries at the end of the game because now it's 4-minute offense. So somebody's going to be unhappy. And if you're winning, you better keep it close to the vest and not show that.
Yeah.
That's the key.
It's amazing, like, Odell, such a good guy, man. I'm telling you, like, anyone who's been around him, you can see that it's a
I've
good
talked
dude.
to him, and I came away like, he's really a good dude.
A good dude. I wouldn't say it just to say it. It's not for that. But enlightenment comes from the process, through the experiences, that exposure. And I don't think he's fully there yet. He needs to know that in business and in relationships, people are horrible at landing the plane. We're great at taking off. The infatuation when you first meet somebody, when you just get drafted. Even at a cruising altitude, when things are rolling. But when it's time for this thing to come to an end, just check your relationships and check how you are in business. People don't want to tell you this thing is coming down. They wait for it to crash. And he has to understand that. That's how the NFL works. They have 2 war rooms, not one. Everyone always talks about the war room. It ain't the war room. There are 2. I saw it in San Diego. One is the college prospects. Who we gonna draft? Who's out there? The other one is active NFL players. Bro, I walked in there and saw Peyton Manning up there. You're like, whoa. And it's impossible to get them, but they always are in position and knowing just in case. Odell, realize the reality. We're all expendable, bruh. Don't get caught up in that part.
So the best thing Baker Mayfield can do is he got to get Njoku in a room with Odell, with Jarvis Landry, with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, get all of them in the room and make them understand, listen, I know we all want to win. I know we all want to be great, but the only way this thing works is we're all unselfish, because there's only one football on that field, right? You got a ton of talent around you. And I think we'll see a much more free Odell this year if he can grasp that concept, because there's something to be said is when you can look to the other side of the field, you see Jarvis Landry also making one-handed catches, right? You see Njoku going up over top in the end zone, scoring touchdowns. You see Nick Chubb running through tackles for 30, 40 yards down the field. So he has to understand, I got to be as unselfish as possible so that we can get to the next level.
Marcel, I just want to make this point quick. I loved your point earlier about the fame game, and I buy your point that interacting with Odell Beckham Jr., he's a very impressive person and likable person. And so I think when you have real interactions with people, you see their real selves, and then, but the public sees you in the media space, in the fame game, where you're a different person, and maybe that's where he's getting the criticism. All right, coming up, if you thought T.O.'s Hall of Fame boycott was bad, just wait until you hear what our buddy Eric Dickerson is planning. I'll try to talk some sense into him.
That's a friend.